Well, welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas having a great visit with Nancy Job and Margie Vogt, talking about, first of all, Island Party at the Maslin Museum, taking place really just a couple of weeks from now, July 20th. You've got something so amazing right now, though, Moniker.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We just had a fantastic opening weekend this past June, and we had hundreds of people from just about every state, and including Hawaii, come to see this amazing exhibition of hobo art and graffiti art, and it really is art. I mean, when we were talking about this exhibition, I was a little skeptical about things, but I have to say, I am so impressed with not only the art and the markings, but also the amount of information and history that is packed into our main exhibition hall. It's just, it's almost indescribable. You really need to come over and witness it yourself. It's really lovely.
I'm trying to get my head wrapped around the fact that someone in Hawaii bought a plane ticket to fly onto the mainland and travel to Maslin, Ohio for the distinct, singular purpose of going to this opening.
Yes.
That's what happened.
Yes.
Who is your PR person? My goodness, Margie.
I would love to take credit, but I suspect it was social media, which the staff handles.
Don't we love it?
Yes, really.
Nothing like it for getting the word out. Yes. Wow. And their response then, they didn't come and say, oh, wow, what a wasted trip. No, that was not the response, right?
No, they came and they stayed. I mean, we had a line out the front door down the block to get into this exhibit. And and once they went through the exhibit, I think they went back through again and they stayed. And of course, when we have a public opening, we had a reception and food and it was free and open to the public. And
like everything there.
And we had an impromptu, a gentleman who plays guitar was doing an impromptu concert on the lawn, and it was a beautiful night. So it was just, and everybody was so kind and lovely and appreciative, and because a lot of these guys that came to this exhibit rode the rails to get here. They hopped off a train and came on in.
You should have seen downtown Maslin. There were hundreds of people, all these people walking around with huge backpacks and then guitars slung on the back of the backpacks, and it was just the whole town was alive, and I'm always very proud of the fact that the museum is an economic engine in downtown Maslin, and we know for a fact that vendors had a wonderful weekend.
Yes, they did.
And
yes, they did.
I was at Cosmo's later that evening, and gosh, there were guys in there with their overalls and their railroad hats.
You bring people in from all around the country, and it does have an economic impact on everybody. All the ships rise on that rising tide.
Absolutely.
It is unbelievable, though. You're telling me, I think, that there are still people who have that lifestyle that is honored through the art exhibit of Moniker.
Yes.
And they arrived on the rails to see this. And for people who don't know, the type of artwork that you're talking about is...
It's the markings that you see on trains and on different, like in a rail yard, on poles, on buildings that, that people that ride the rails will say, hey, this was a great place their marking will tell the story of this was a great place to stay. People were really nice here. The food was really good here. And, that's some of what those markings are. And then some of it is their own signature marking of their identity that they were at this place, and rode this rail.
Sometimes dated.
Now,
this is railroad graffiti, but this isn't the big spray paint. These are yellow chalk markings that I remember seeing when I was a child, before they were all the boxcars were all covered, and they're very noticeable whose mark is whose mark.
So that's my next question. Do they develop a personal style that is their own signature?
Absolutely, but
Like a
we don't
Kilroy
know-
was
we
here.
don't know Kilroy's real name, and there's Tex Goth and Bozo Texino, and for the most part, those are anonymous. They don't disclose their real names,
And they're giving their recommendation that this is a good spot. It's almost like going on like Yelp, except it's low-tech Yelp.
It's true.
Yeah.
This started back in the 1880s, the late 1800s, so we didn't have Yelp and TripAdvisor in
No,
those
we
days.
did not. But isn't that very cool? And that it became an art form.
Yes. Well, this is groundbreaking. This is really the first time that anybody has done anything of any scale at all to recognize this.
So cool that it happened in Maslin, Ohio.
You bet.
Whose idea was this?
Well, I think it was the idea of Scott Phillips, who is our
Operations officer.
thank you, Margie, operations officer, and he and two of his good friends, Kurt, help me with his
Kurt
last name.
Tours and Andy Dreaming Wolf.
The three of them really have been working on this for 3+ years. And, it's not just, hey, let's call up these artists and see if they're willing to be a part of the show. You got to find these folks first. So it was a lot of networking, I think, and a lot of outreach to people all over the country to then send out, what are they, 24 by 24?
They're large.
24,
yeah.
Somewhere
say
in that
that.
neighborhood, 20 by 20 or 24 by 24 sheets of metal that got sent all over the country and then sent back to us with the markings on them. And those are displayed, and it's just an amazing display of these markings. I mean, when you see it, you're going to think, that is art.
Yeah. This is not to be missed. And it runs how long?
Through it started June 23rd, and it will run through October 21st.
And what happens to it afterwards? Because it sounds like this ought to go to the Smithsonian and when it's done here in Maslin.
Well, that would be a lovely place for it to end up, but we hope that it will travel to other museums.
Yes.
I mean, it's been so incredibly well received. I can't even imagine over the next couple months how many people are going to come in to see this that weren't able to make it for the opening, but may be able to make it later on. So it's going to be very interesting to see, how this all unravels over the next couple months. But yes, we do hope that it will become a traveling exhibition.
And we've gotten through October 21st to get ourselves over there to
Yes.
see it if we haven't not
Well
yet.
worth the trip.
You got something else, Relics, going on. What is that?
Relics, yes. Well, Relics Roadshow, our antique roadshow. It is a fundraiser, basically, for our capital campaign. Because even though we are most of the way there, we still have we have a little bit to go to raise the funds to complete our construction. So it's kind of an ongoing process to do that. And Relics was born as a result of needing to raise some money for the capital campaign. So that's coming up on August 25th, and it's really a very cool thing. We're still inviting vendors, art vendors, and
Repurposed. If you repurpose, it's Relics and Refabs Roadshow.
Okay.
So how some people make things over into something new and
Sure.
fresh and antiques. There can be artists. We'll welcome most anybody.
That
There's a
work in
fee.
found objects or something
yes,
like that.
That's exactly what we're trying for.
So-
vintage.
Yes,
Awesome.
vintage.
So bring these things and have them appraised?
Well,
Or
we're looking for vendors to pay
Sell
a booth
them.
fee, and so we want to have a number of 20 or more vendors there, indoors and outdoors. It's going to be held at St. George Cultural Center because of the construction.
Yes.
And so there'll be plenty of room, plenty of parking. But then once we have all these vendors assembled, we also have appraisers coming. Really expert
Great.
appraisers.
Yes.
And that's when you bring your things
Okay.
in, your treasures
All right.
in. And for just the event is free, but if you want to purchase something from the vendors or if you want an appraisal, there's a fee involved, and it's only $5
Oh, my
for
goodness.
a verbal appraisal
from an expert?
from a fine expert.
That
yes.
is awesome. You still need more vendors.
Yes, we'll welcome many more vendors.
How does someone sign up to do that?
Well, you can go to the MassMU website and you can click on our events, and there's a little tag there that says Relics and Refabs. You click on that, and there is a link then for vendors.
Perfect. And if we want to bring something to be appraised, do we sign up ahead of time, or y'all come?
Y'all come.
All right. And that's August 25th, again at St. George's Cultural Center.
Just south of the museum.
Don't go to the
street.
museum, because you're going to find when you get there, there's lots of
You'll
construction
find people
going.
flagging, pointing
This
you
away.
down the street. Yes.
This away. Well, let's talk about this new construction in our closing minutes. What all is taking place? You've been very patient while we pardon your dust, and but we it's exciting. It's all worthwhile.
It is very exciting, especially exciting for me because it's a whole event hall,
Awesome.
So we're going to be able to have a really cool space to have our brown bag lunches where we can all sit and see easily, not around poles and in the lobby, which has been quite cozy, but I think this is going to be, lovely. We can have events that people will be able to rent the space, for maybe you're having a wedding shower
What
or a wedding.
great
or
idea.
some kind of community event that you would like to have here at the museum. So we will have space for all of that.
For people who are very familiar with Massillon and with where the museum is now, what are we talking about? What will this new space inhabit? Because it's really expanding you quite a few square feet, right?
1,500 square
That's
feet of
quite a
just the
bit.
event
Almost
space.
double what we have, because we purchased 2 existing buildings and we're spreading into those as well.
What were those, so that people can have in mind
The
where?
Massillon Area Chamber of Commerce, well, now it's the Massillon West Arc Chamber of Commerce.
Sure.
They're right at the corner of Lincoln Way and City Hall Street, and then behind it was an insurance agency.
Oh,
So,
right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we've purchased both of those, and we're heavily revamping those.
Where did everybody go?
Bob Gessner built the beautiful First North building, and the chamber moved into there. And I believe that the insurance company moved to the Belden area. So, but Nancy's going to have a prep space. And now she's the events gal, so she just
Nice.
dove right into the event space. But don't forget how exciting it is that we will be opening the Paul Brown Museum on the 2nd floor.
Is that separate? This is 2
This is
floors.
a 3-story.
3
Plus our
stories.
classrooms in the basement,
Oh,
in the
my
lower level. Let's call it the lower
goodness.
level. Yes.
This is major.
Yes.
All right, what's taking place in the Paul Brown area?
Oh golly, it's we will have the Massillon Tiger football booster club collection, which is massive. We'll be exhibiting local football history as well as changing stories related to Paul Brown and the history of football in general. So, and this isn't a stagnant, seen it once. This will be rotating just like the rest of our exhibits will. So,
Massillon is so football.
We are, and we're proud of
really,
it.
and proud of it, and I love that. I'm thinking Four Horsemen and all of that. That's all got the Massillon ties. It is too cool. So that will be something very worth seeing. When does this all open? I know we're out of time, but let's keep. When does this open?
October should be when everything is complete, just in time for Art After Dark to happen here at MassMU. That should be our first public event.
Very, very cool. All right, tell us a website where we can go to get all the information.
MassillonMuseum.org is where you can find all the information. There's also a blog, a daily blog, and I don't, off the top of my head, have that.
Probably a link from your website
Yes,
to
I'm
that.
sure there is, on construction updates and whatnot.
Perfect. Margie, can't let you go without you telling us when is the next cemetery tour.
the next cemetery tour will be on Sunday, July 8th.
Woo.
How about that for good
Coming up
timing?
in just a couple of days.
Yes, 2:00 p.m., and that's Massillon Cemetery on South Erie Street.
Too fun. All right. Thank you both. Nancy, Job, Margie Vogt, thanks for all you do in our community.
You're welcome. Thank you.